Hi and welcome to the studio. Today I'm going to be talking to you about a little plugin that I think is an absolute must for all dance music producers and EDM producers, and that is a little low-cost plugin called Psyscope Pro. If you've never heard about it, well, now's your chance. So let's just jump on into the door and check it out. Right, so here we are inside Cubase Pro 12, and we're going to look at Psyscope Pro and why I think that it's a must-have tool for any dance music or EDM producer, especially using it in order to help get your kick and your snare to punch through the mix, and how to surgically shape and get things cut out of the way to let the kick and the snare breathe. So I've got a group channel with my Psyscope Pro on it. Let's pull it up. And here it is, and this is what we have before us. And down here you can have 8 separate instances. I've got 7, but you can have up to 8. They are bringing out a new version soon which will allow you to have 16 separate instances. You can see that here I've got my kick and sub, bass loop, clap, etc, etc, etc. And here we just see the one instance of the one thing I've got turned on, which is the kick and the sub. Turn that, if I right click it turns it off, right click and turn it back on. And over here I can clear it. Here I can let's get that back on, so I'll play that a second and you can see it in real time generating. So there you go, a fairly standard transient and sub making up the kick. Now you can zoom in to get a very detailed view of the waveform. So we can do it this way and zoom right on in if you like, and you can see the clippings and the shape, etc. Or we can zoom it in and out this way to have another view. You can set it over 16th, 8th, a beat, 2 beats, a bar, 2 bars or 4 bars. I've generally got mine set over 2 bars so I can see what's going on. And basically what Psyscope Pro allows you to do is see up to 7 different layers on top of one another, and to see what is masking what and what's clashing with what. So let's turn on the clap on the snare. And there it is. So my snare on every 2 and 4, and the volume is slightly below the actual kick, and so the kick and the snare will be the anchor point for this particular track. Right, so we want to keep that this way for the entire mix. We want that punching through all the time to be nice and clear and loud and punchy, etc. So let's bring in the rolling bass line that I've got to show you what happens when we bring that in. And there it is. So I'll play that for you and you can hear what a mess it is. So it updates every time it repeats the bars, and you can see quite clearly that it's masking all of the kick, the snare and the sub, and basically it's not allowing that to come through at all. And that's just the bass line. Imagine if we have other layers. Imagine we have got two or three different synth lines going on, pads going on, etc. You know, texture pad, things like this. They're all going to mask the kick and the snare. And for EDM, for dance music, tech house, whatever, trance, etc., we need the kick and the snare to be punching through all the time. So we will turn on, I'll get duck up because I tend to use duck a lot to duck things out of the way of the kick. Obviously you can use whatever method you choose. I've got kickstart 2 as well, which is pretty damn good. And this is the shape that I've got for the bass line. Now what I'll do is I'll play it without the duck on and then turn the duck on, and you'll be able to hear and see exactly what Psyscope Pro is able to show you in terms of what's happening in unmasking. So there you go. What Psyscope Pro enables you to do is to precisely see where the cuts and the ducts are, where it's hitting the transients and where it's engaging with the sub, etc. And you can use whatever tool you want, compression, ducking, EQ, whatever, in order to help carve and shape whatever is causing the masking issue against the kick and the snare, to have it ducking out of the way so we've got that nice punch and snap coming through of the kick. Another example, we'll turn off the rolling bass for a second and I will turn on this little synth line I've got here, and you'll notice on this little pink synth line here there's a part of the synth that hits on every fourth beat and sometimes on the first, and especially on the fourth, and every time it comes in on the fourth it creates a terrible distortion. Some people may like to have that, but if you wanted your kick and the snare to come through, I don't want that. So once again, I've got a duck on this, and I've got a different shape here for this because I wanted to trim off some of the rear end of this synth line as well. And so I'll play that, and you can hear that against the kick and the snare, and you'll see precisely the distortion part I'm talking about. So you can quite clearly and hear the distortion here and there, where it's this one in particular where it's really clashing, coming in quite strong. The rest isn't too bad. This one is okay, but again you can still hear it. The rest are already ducked out of the way anyway. So we'll engage the duck and you'll obviously be able to hear it, but it's nice to be able to see it in a meter such as this. And there you go. You can clearly see that it's now reduced drastically the volume where it was hitting the kick and the snare. This one here is practically gone, and we've still got all the other elements. Now obviously we would bring that up better in the mix, a little bit of clipping and normalizing, etc., to bring the volume back. But the main thing here is actually being able to see what you are doing, where you're actually making the cuts and the shaping, and whatever tool you want to shape it is entirely up to you. We're talking about how Psyscope Pro enables you to see what you're doing. Now let's add in the rolling bass line again, and we'll see them acting all together. And there you go. That is Psyscope Pro. It's very low cost. I think it's £15 or is it £18? I can't remember now. But anyway, very low cost. They are bringing up an update soon that will allow you to have 16 instances as opposed to at the moment we can only have 8. But 16, of course, would be very handy. I think it's an absolute must for all EDM dance music producers. Because it shows precisely where you're cutting, where you're shaping, what's clashing, what isn't clashing, in a very simple, understandable way. So there you go. That's my tip. Psyscope Pro. Go check it out. I think there is a demo version, so you can download the demo version. And I can't remember how many instances you can only have of it, but not very many. So go check it out. I'll put a link down below, and subscribe if you like the channel. Leave any comments below. Thanks a lot, and I will catch you again very soon.